Hello, my name is Michael Sliwa, and today I will be discussing my nonprofit, Masks for Moms. So just to touch on a little bit of an overview of Masks for Moms, it was founded in mid-April of 2020, right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, when masks were, well, something that were suggested but not exactly required. So our contact at the organization, Dr. Ardennes Handler, ended up telling us that things all got started when she realized that there was going to be a great need for masks on the west and south sides of Chicago. Now these areas usually have a low income and do not usually benefit from services such as telehealth, so they usually have to go in person for appointments. So when Dr. Handler came to this realization, she knew that when people were going in person and gathering in large crowds to wait for healthcare, they would need some sort of protection to keep them safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. So the main demographic that this organization actually is serving in these hospitals is going to be new mothers or mothers who are expectant and going to have a child soon. These mothers need to be at tip-top health when they are delivering their baby, so this personal protective equipment is imperative in their health. So this is where the vision statement of Masks for Moms comes in, and it is to meet the safety needs that expectant and new mothers have when visiting the hospital during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now this operation is mainly based online and based on mail-in donations, along with having in-person drop-off and pickup sites for the mothers and for donators. A lot of the volunteer opportunities are centered around making masks. However, there are people who distribute these masks every single day at these drop-off sites who are also, putting in a lot of hard work volunteering. But like I said, Masks for Moms' biggest objective is to get masks made, shipped, and into the hands of expectant mothers or new mothers. So through talking to Dr. Handler, we ended up finding that a lot of the people were inclined to donate or volunteer mainly because it hit home for a lot of them. Through going through their website, it's obvious to see that a lot of the donators are women who either have children or are going to have children in the future and probably can sympathize with the mothers who are expectant during this, very difficult time. Along with this, I feel as if this cause is very overlooked by a lot of people, and once they find out about it, there's really no reason for them not to help out. It truly is a great cause and one that protects the most vulnerable people in our society. Moving on from volunteer work, it's very obvious to see why mothers would want to benefit from this. I mean, it's truly keeping them safe and it's made just for them. Along with this, Masks for Moms pickup sites are very much designed to be convenient for the mothers, with a lot of them being in hospitals themselves. So a lot of the time, mothers can just walk up, take the mask that they want, and be protected right there at the hospital without any additional fees or issues or traveling to other places at all. So backtracking a little bit to the volunteer experience, I'd like to discuss my experience that I had with Miles Ralph and us creating masks for this organization and setting them. So a few days ago, we got together, traveled to a local fabric store, picked out some nice fabric that we thought would be appropriate for making a mask, and got to work following the instructions that Masks for Moms had on their website. So all we had to do was buy this fabric, bring it back to my house, we cut it into the specified sizes. After folding the masks and adorning them with hair ties, we pretty much had a finished product. We just did a little bit of touch-ups to make sure that they looked the nicest for when we actually donated them. Now this process was very easy, and although it took us around 5 or 6 hours, we really enjoyed our time doing it, and it was a lot of fun learning how to make the masks, and also doing it while not even having to sew as well, which is very convenient for us, as we didn't know how to sew at all. After that, all we had to do was package up our masks and get them sent off to Masks for Moms. As I mentioned before, the main purpose of this work is to just get as many masks as possible to the moms. We ended up making around 8 masks, I believe, and that will benefit at least 8 people and provide them with the protection that they need when going to the hospital or just, shopping around or doing other things like that around town where they might be exposed to the COVID-19 virus. On the screen right now, I'll go ahead and show some images from our volunteer work, somewhere maybe here, something like that. But as you can see, we really enjoyed ourselves and we had a great time making these masks, and it truly is, like I said, a great cause and definitely one that I think people should be more involved in and more interested in. As I mentioned before, the biggest goal of this organization is to protect pre- and postpartum women who are going to the hospital during this pandemic. So by having so much personal protective equipment donated and ready to go, it makes it so that the moms can conveniently get this equipment and be protected right away while having no additional costs incurred on them. Now, as I said, this is a lower income area, so this is really a big deal when it comes to distributing these masks. They need to be free and readily available. So obviously the impact that this is having on the community is a increase in safety and wellness of mothers in the area, along with bringing awareness to the issue of COVID-19, specifically in this demographic and in this area. I believe that without the efforts of Masks for Moms in this community, there would be a lot more unprotected mothers and there would be a lot more exposure to the COVID-19 pandemic and virus. This again all leads back to health and the fact that this area is a lot more healthy now with this abundance abundance of masks and easy ability to get them. This again ties back to the organization's goals and its needs and its requirements in this community, in the sense that obviously mothers are going to be a lot more healthy and a lot safer by wearing these masks that are being provided. So all in all, it's very straightforward and very simple what they're doing, but it has a huge impact on this community, and it's really improving the health of the area and the health of these mothers specifically. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about myself and how it changed my views on civic engagement and other things of that nature. So before volunteering with Masks for Moms, I did some previous volunteer work at places like the Ronald McDonald House in the past. In the case of that volunteer work, you know, the idea of doing something fun to help others was obviously a very great thing. But a lot of the time, I didn't really think of the issue I was helping or, you know, what the purpose of me making, you know, the food or whatever I was doing was. I would just go there, do the volunteer work, and not really think about what I was truly doing and why I was doing it. However, through volunteering in a non-in-person format and through talking to a director of an operation, you know, Dr. Handler, I truly feel like I've been given a new perspective on nonprofit organizations as a whole. I now can kind of understand the logic behind making one and potentially why people do make nonprofit organizations in their respective areas. I now know that they are very unique to each specific area and they serve the needs of the people there and don't try to do things in a generalized manner. Their work is very specific and it has a purpose always, and that purpose is very, very clear from the very beginning. As I said, this is a completely new outlook on nonprofits and volunteer work, and it's definitely one that I'll carry throughout the rest of my life. In a sense, this also did change my worldview, because before I really didn't look at issues and I looked more at just doing the volunteer work because I either had to or I wanted to. Now I can kind of see that there are people who live differently from me and definitely have different needs based on their respective location or how much money they have or anything related to that. You know, Masks for Moms is the perfect example of this because I didn't even know this issue existed, and it really has opened my eyes to other issues that I really just never thought about. A lot of the time we become self-centered and think about our own lives and things that are going on with us, and we fail to realize the multitude of other needs that we have around us in our own community. So with the knowledge I've gained through these experiences, I think I could truly do a lot. The first thing I want to do is honestly try to reach out to more nonprofits and volunteer more in a sense where I'm helping my own community. Although Masks for Moms cause was great, it really wasn't in the community that I was closely tied to. In fact, its operations were over 3 hours away, but it's understandable considering the fact that we had to do things remotely this year. However, when COVID-19 lets up and I'm able to go volunteer at local hospitals and things like that, I definitely want to be meeting the people I'm benefiting. On top of this, I now know how to reach out to nonprofits and figure out what their objectives are and how I can help them the best. By interviewing Dr. Handler and talking to her about her nonprofit, I could really tell that she had a lot of passion for her work, and obviously that's always a great thing to see. Along with this, I now know that I can help nonprofits in more ways than just one. I now know that I don't always have to donate money or time at a facility, but I can do things right in my own home that will make a big impact on the lives of many. These realizations have truly made me broaden my horizons as a person, and I think have made me a better person all around. I now know that I can take the tender and caring characteristics of my personality and apply them in so many different ways than I had ever thought before. If anything, these experiences have expanded on those qualities and made them better. I now feel as if I will have a closer connection to issues and be able to sympathize with people a lot better. As the common saying goes, knowledge is power, and the more that I become aware of issues in the world, the more I'll want to help, and the more that I'll personally be able to become a better person and benefit from those experiences. However, I don't want the road to stop there. I want to encourage others to volunteer at nonprofits in their community. Some of the ways that I think I can get people involved is just to show them the benefits of helping and to get them started. By having people do small volunteering tasks and things of that nature, they will become exposed to this wonderful idea of volunteering and be able to expand on themselves and continue having this desire to want to volunteer. This kind of ties into the mere exposure effect, and it's definitely something that's had a big impact on me. In terms of getting people involved with Masks for Moms, I think the mere exposure effect also works with this. I can also share with them the fun experience of making a mask and showing them how beneficial it is to the community that it is going to. I think that getting people together is easy enough, and if you have them do a fun task that benefits a lot of people, it's really easy to get things done quickly. So to wrap things up, I want to talk about my change in perspective on the COVID-19 pandemic as a result of this volunteer work. And now, while this was something that was on my mind constantly, I didn't really think about the other people that were being affected by it. I really just thought of it in terms of myself. However, through volunteering with Masks for Moms, I now know that societal issues can come in all shapes and sizes, and that issues vary among communities based on the demographic and the people living there. In the instance of this community, they had a shortage of masks and also a very low income, so they couldn't purchase the supplies that they actually needed. This is definitely an issue I can see people putting to the back of their minds and not really even thinking about. I would say that the two most challenging parts of this exercise were A, having to do things remotely, and B, trying to get in contact with the right people. At the beginning of trying to get into contact with our organization, we ran into a lot of roadblocks roadblocks, and it really caused a lot of bumps in our road to getting into contact in general. However, I could also say that this is rewarding because it taught me how to communicate with others and try to get to the information I'm trying to find. And like I said, the remote part of this experience made things a lot more difficult because we couldn't even conduct an interview in person and had to set one up remotely as well, which was just a lot of extra hassle that could have been avoided by an in-person interview. Along with this, it would have been nice to visit the facilities in which our nonprofit was operating and see how things were around there. And I definitely would have liked to see some of the volunteers at work, you know, either handing out masks or delivering their masks to the different drop-off sites around the city. I also think it would be really nice to meet some of the other people of this organization, as it would really paint a better picture of what exactly the operations looked like. However, all in all, this experience has been great and extremely gratifying. I feel as if through making masks and volunteering with this nonprofit and also researching about it, that I have greatly benefited the community and myself in many different ways. I now have a different outlook on volunteer work and definitely plan on doing more in the future while exposing others to it. So I guess I just want to take a second here to thank you, Professor DeBeck, for the opportunity and having us reach out to these nonprofits, along with the fact that I look forward to working with this nonprofit and other nonprofits in the future. So without any further ado, thank you for watching this video, and hopefully now you have a better understanding of what Masks for Moms was, what it did for me, and how this experience benefited me, along with what I thought of the experience. Thank you.